Hello, thank you for taking a look at my updates here. So this is my son's skin journey. As those who've been following me, you may be familiar with the progress, and I just want to provide more information as far as what I do. So that way, if you want to start tracking, if you started at one point and then gave up and just felt like it wasn't working, I am a firm believer that you just got to start all over again. If you really want it, this is something I really wanted for my son. It isn't something that I knew that he would be capable of doing, not at the age of 13. So as his mother, I took ownership and said, we're going to do this. We're going to do this together because that's going to be my goal. And so here we are. This is my son's skin journey. All right. So on this second slide, you can see that there's kind of like just progress over time. Where you see the L, this is like the stages that my son was always in on a consistent daily basis. We started tattoo wrapping right before school started, and this is the confidence that my son started seeing, or I started seeing confidence building, I should say. And then in June, you can see that the skin starts to look a lot cleaner. His open tunnels seem to be healing. And then on the very last slide, these are like the updates as of yesterday, last night. Uh, and then around the belly, this is a lot better than where we started, and it's healing really well. So, when we first started this process, I was very lost. I've never done research like this before, not anything this extensive at least. And I'm just glad that I started because I learned a lot and it was an eye opener. And now I understand exactly how this disease works. And I honestly don't even know how the medical industry is not even fully aware of it. But hey, I'm just glad that it's working, and I'm not even gonna say more to that. So moving on. When I first started this and I started looking into my research, I started talking about gluten a lot. And I was taking a look at skin diseases that were related to the same type of symptoms that HS has. And so when I saw that gluten just kept on popping up in all my research, because I was looking into indigestible nutrients or fibers, just stuff that your body just cannot break down and tends to stay in the body, which causes like impacts. And from what I understand so far, gluten seems to impact a whole lot of stuff. It impacts your memory, as far as like brain fog. It also impacts the way that the body is supposed to grow. It impacts, yes, your digestive system, of course. It also impacts your bowel movements, it also creates issues with bone. It causes muscle pains, aches, and it does affect your bones as well the longer that it goes undiagnosed, or the longer that you continue or to eat gluten or consume gluten, I should say. And the HS effects that you have right now, if you're just like a 1 and a 2, if my son's a 3, and these pictures, you'll see that he's probably now a 1, at the most probably a 2, just because of the skin tissue or the scars that he'll have remaining. But as far as he's probably a 1 at this point, probably even less. But anyways, if it does continue to go the route that you're doing without any changes, and you're just, taking prescriptions, taking Humira, and whatever the case may be, those are going to be band-aids, temporary band-aids, because you're not actually getting to the root of the cause, and that's the actual infection from the body from within to heal what's outside, what's going on with the outside of your body. So I looked into gluten. I was lost. I was so frustrated the first time I went shopping, because I noticed that some stores offered a lot of details on their racks, and then other stores did not. And so I came across a gluten scanner, which just made life so much easier. And with everything, not every scanner is going to be great. There are going to be some cons to it, so you will have to look at some of the ingredients when you're shopping. But I did find it very useful, as you can see. I wasn't aware that a lot of the times when you're buying groceries, even though one item might come in gluten free, don't assume that just because one item is gluten free, they're all gluten free. This will basically show you that, like for example, the bacon bits, one was gluten free, one was not. And from what I understood, when it says may contain gluten, that means that the machinery that the food is processed through is shared amongst other foods that may actually be pre-made or packaged and whatnot, or pre-prepared or assembled, that are actually in containing gluten as one of their proteins in that product. So when it's a shared machine, they cannot label it gluten free. So even though it may not say there's wheat, for example, on the one that says may contain gluten, it's not going to say wheat on the package, but because it was processed through a machine that was shared amongst other uh, consumption products, then they cannot label it gluten free. Now, the ones on top, you can see that they all have a check mark. That means that they were processed, they were packaged, they were done, however they do it in their company. It's not on a shared assembly line or anything like that, so there was no cross contamination. And the ones on the bottom are likely to be cross contaminated at one point of the processing time frame. And I also noticed that when I was scanning salads, even salads were coming up, may contain gluten, and I was like, what? So it was just a big eye opener, but this also helps you understand. So even if it said may contain gluten, I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go because there was no price difference. And if there was, it was probably like by 5 to 10 cents. And I'm okay with paying the extra 10 cents because I wanted my son to be pain free. So this is just an eye opener to show you the difference between the two and the app. You're more than welcome to download it. It is free. I use the free one, but if you want to pay for it, that's at your option. But this was just something that I wanted to share to make this a better experience when you're shopping, and if you're on the go, or if you're visiting family and friends and they're cooking and you just want to see what they're cooking because you need to just make sure what you're about to consume is gluten free. And this helps just very, very well. So hopefully this helps somebody because it helped me like a lot. So as you can see here, on the left-hand side, this is my son's before picture when we started in June. I needed to just keep track of his progress. At the time, I wasn't even thinking about, doing all this. At the time, I was just basically taking pictures for my son's dermatologist because I just felt like, one, my son was already upset that he had to always unclothe. So it was helpful that we didn't have to do that. My son was already used to me watching his body because I have to clean him. So he was okay with me at least taking pictures. And so when we would go to his dermatologist appointment, we would just show him the pictures so that way he can see what it looked like, the condition or the state that it was in, and it was just helpful. So that was the initial reason for all these pics, and I'm just glad that they came in handy because now I have them available to compare to our progress today. And so on the right, you can see that this is as of yesterday. We are gluten free, 100% at this point. I did find out through the course of our process that he is now lactose. And I guess that's the reason why. And I didn't snap because I'll show you why in a minute, but I didn't snap at the time when I first started this because I was just so focused on gluten. And I know that everybody says, oh, well, everybody has different indicators, but that's fine. You just need to start with the main source, and that's going to be gluten. That is the main source, I can assure you. And then from there, that will allow you to start isolating or removing things one at a time. But gluten gave my son pretty much the majority of the recovery instantaneously. The milk is what delayed the very last healing of the process. So this is the last thing that he has remaining on his thigh, which are the two little dots there. As far as everything else is sealed on that side of the body, and it looks very great, honestly. He will have probably those indentions. We are using a specific soap for his body because it's been about a month since we stopped using HepaCleanse, and we are now using, I'll post it later, but it's a sea salt, a dead sea salt mineral soap, and it was like $3 on some website I found it in. It had a lot of great reviews, and so I went with, so altogether, I believe it was $7 with shipping and handling, which is a lot cheaper than the stuff I was buying at Walmart or any other even the dermatologist was recommending. I was like, oh my God. So this was a lot cheaper. And as you can see, the skin is clearing up and healing very well, combined all together. All right, and so on this slide, because I wanted to make sure I still saw leakage on my son's when when we were, I think, in month 1.5 maybe. I still saw that he was still having a minimal leakage, not like too much where we had first started.